KBLANews.com.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are back in the news. Training camp starts on Tuesday, but Lakers coach Darvin Ham said his starting backcourt is already set. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves will be the Lakers starting guards this season. With LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the lineup, the Lakers only have to decide on a starting center. The main contenders are Jared Vanderbilt, Taurean Prince, and free agent signee Christian Wood. LeBron is on the list of celebrities who will be at the USC-Colorado game Saturday in Boulder. Also on the list is Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and actor Matthew McConaughey. USC remains a 21.5-point favorite over Colorado. 9 a.m. kickoff Saturday morning on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Monday, October 9th, don't miss the KBLA Talk 1580 exclusive. The tape. 1 year later.
Y'all were coming for us.
Yeah, but Tavis, that's not in my heart. I wasn't coming for anyone like that. I apologize, but that was not me. That's not in my heart. And like I said a few moments ago, I have a solid, demonstrable record of shared power that's real and concrete. That can't be misinterpreted.
Join Tavis Smiley and an all-star panel of political insiders, influencers, and journalists for a look back at the crisis that shook LA City Hall when 4 Latino leaders were caught on tape making racist, demeaning, and derogatory statements about black people and other fellow citizens. On Monday, October 9th, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, The Tape. 1 year later. We're broadcast live in afternoon drive from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. When all was said and done, was more said than done. 1 year later. Are there fractures in LA's black-brown political partnership? And where do we go from here? Don't miss The Tape. 1 year later. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Monday, October 9th. Live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. We've got a lot to talk about.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the move. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. Happy Friday. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First. My first thing every day, every single day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go, let's go, let's go. We have a lot to talk about, as always. In the first hour, we typically look left coast, what's going on around here. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. We have those freestyle phones where you can call any hour, but especially in the second hour of the show, 800-920-1580. And the third hour, we do a deep dive. Today, we're talking with Judge Songhai Armstead. She's a leader of a new LA County department called Justice, Care, and Opportunities. Find out what they're all about, but also as a judge and head of the department tasked with handling much of the change, we will get some insight on the new bail schedule and what it means for Los Angeles. So that's something you don't want to miss. And I'm so thrilled and happy to have you with me right now. I hope you have the app. Do you have the app? The app, it's KBLA 1580. It's free. You can download it at the App Store or the Google Play Store. Put it on your phone. Listen to us wherever you go. If you missed yesterday's fire conversation about immigration and white supremacy with attorney Nana Jomfi, who's executive director of BAJI, Black Alliance for Just Immigration, you can get it on the podcast. They're on the phone for free, or you can get them wherever you get your podcast. But app downloads are what it's all about. App downloads, because it makes us stronger as a Black-owned business in a space where Black entrepreneurs are often locked out. Your thoughts, your support, whether it be on all of our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the website's all KBLA 1580. It absolutely makes a difference, and we do appreciate you streaming live right this very moment of Friday morning at KBLA 1580 on YouTube. Please like, follow, subscribe. You know the deal. Actually, I'm on there too, DiPrima Radio, if you want to see what now in hindsight seems like a hilarious debate between me, Tavis Smiley, and Dr. Cornell West. Yeah, it's up there on my YouTube, KBLA 1580. So what's good, Los Angeles? What's good, conscious America? We have a lot to talk about, as always. And I'm feeling like, maybe we need to remind ourselves every Friday to have a conversation about reparations, because the reparation conversations have to happen. It is part of getting free. It is part of normalizing it. I know you hear me say this all the time, so let's keep at it. Let's not give up. I don't know, Freedom Fridays. Give me my effing money Fridays. Whatever you want to call it. I know. It's not just about money, but money's a big part of it, yes. Because originally we were meant to get land, right? 40 acres and a mule. Oh, but now, a whole deconstruction later, a whole Jim Crow later, a whole Black Wall Street later, there's levels to it and layers to it. And so absolutely, that's a conversation I want to have today, all the days, but especially on Fridays. Really a lot to talk about this morning. And, it's tough with breaking news, because I want to be clear that, our job is to look at the news aspects of what goes on. I understand that there's always a personal aspect to the news, and I want to, give out my condolences to the family of Senator Dianne Feinstein, who has made her transition at the age of 90 while still a sitting U.S. Senator. She was the first woman mayor of San Francisco. I didn't even know that, even though I'm from San Francisco. The first woman elected to the Senate from California. She's an icon. Certainly her last days have been marked with controversy, because of her apparent inability to perform the duties of her office, possibly due to her advanced age or health conditions or both, along with a battle with her stepdaughters over the fortune of her late husband, Mr. Richard Bloom. So lot to talk about there, because even as we wish condolences to the family of Senator Dianne Feinstein, that particular loss, not on the personal side, but on the political side, does throw aspects of our state governance into chaos, or at least turmoil. Let me say turmoil, not chaos. I mean, there is a line of succession, there are procedures and protocols, but this is a lot right now, right? And it has a lot of implications. We'll talk about what those are. At a time when we are just months away from elections, at a time when we are seeing few problems. Well, at least Bob Menendez-sized problems. Could just be one, but it's massive in terms of the breadth of the alleged corruption and the arrogance and complete tone deafness of the response. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the national scene, looking at a possible shutdown, that itself will have profound impact. Not just, to talk about in a theory on a national stage, but actually in the weeds. Actually day to day, right here at home. Love to hear your thoughts on that and whatever else is stirring your pot this morning. What happens now? The governor of California has already said he will appoint a placeholder. He had promised to appoint a black woman. To me, that means it should be a black woman who can do the job, who can stay in the job, not someone you get to be senator for 3 months. You also get a new car. Not that. Like an actual serious appointment of a senator who could do the job. Who would have the advantage of incumbency. He said he won't do that. But certainly the question will be revived anew. There's a lot going on the left coast as usual. It's not, yes, it's Reparations Day, but there's a lot of other things going on around here. And we're going to try to track as many of them as we can. I do my best to keep up, but y'all be getting me off. See, notice how I blame you. Y'all be getting me off on a sidetrack, and sometimes we don't get through everything on the agenda. SAG-AFTRA back at the table next week. That's huge. The word that I'm getting from knowledgeable folks in the labor union is that this is expected to move briskly. So we may be on the other side of these strikes soon. And, of course, actors will keep the pressure on. But we may be. That's great news for everybody in California and anybody that, profits and relies on and enjoys the music industry. All the bills on the governor's desk. We talked about a couple of them yesterday. A couple more I'd like to highlight, point out to you. Will he or won't he sign them into law? And it seems like every day the LA Times is reporting yet another major violation of California's clean air policies as we quest to be a leader in the battle against the climate emergency. So much to cover. 800-920-1580. Call me now. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and this right here, this is KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
MVP's bonus days are back at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools and get 5 times the bonus points. Plus, right now, buy a DeWalt Power Stack battery kit and get a select DeWalt Bear tool free, up to a $249 value. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid 9/18 through 9/29. Subject to change. DeWalt offer valid through 10/11.
Applications are now being accepted for the City of Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Program. The program provides up to 6 months of rental arrears to low-income residential renters who are at risk of homelessness due to unpaid rent as a result of COVID-19 or other financial hardship. Applications will not be accepted after 6 p.m. on October 2nd, 2023. Go online 24/7 at housing.lacity.org or call 888-379-3150 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and see if you qualify. Apply today. For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it. Together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears. Thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, I am being joined, and now you know for sure it's a Friday, by the one and only founder of ES Advisors. He's the president and CEO of that public policy consulting firm. He's also a pundit, commentator, media kind of guy. You've seen him on Fox Soul. He's an official contributor here at KBLA Talk 1580. And he may just be taking over the mic one of these days. Just keep your ears peeled. He might just be sitting in my chair one day soon. Ed Sanders, good morning.
Dominique, good morning. How are you? Happy Friday.
Thank
Good morning,
you.
KBLA.
Happy Friday to you as well. Stunning news to wake up to this morning, Ed Sanders, that it shouldn't be because she's 90, which is an advanced age, but Senator Dianne Feinstein has made her transition. And like I said, I'm sure you join me in giving condolences to her family. It's really hard to think about that without thinking about all of the ripple effects this will have on our Golden State.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about sort of the future impacts. But you know, I agree with you and sharing your condolences to the family. You know, the heart of this story is that a member of someone's family has passed, and so for those that are grieving or that knew the senator, I wish them my condolences.
Yeah, I mean, she was the first woman mayor of San Francisco. Of course, I did not realize that, even though I'm from SF, until she passed. But she had a lot of firsts. She was one of those pioneering women, right?
And that's really where you start. You know, you think about her role in California politics, but what it meant nationally. Certainly for women being elected to the executive post on the municipal level as mayor. She is one of the trailblazing pioneers there, and that it's so funny because we remember her more for being a United States senator, but her path to the Senate seat really flowed through you know, her role as governor or as mayor of San Francisco. And, you know, all that San Francisco meant, I'd say in the early 80s, and I think her term there was in the early 80s, maybe late 70s. You know, a lot of interesting stuff that came out from there.
Yeah, I also didn't realize she was married 3 times. I knew she had 2 husbands. I guess I missed one. But it's interesting, too, that San Francisco, I mean, we just elected our first woman mayor last year in Karen Bass. And San Francisco was way ahead of us on that.
Yeah, you know, it should tie in the football, the sort of the Rams and 49ers analogy, but you know, or Dodgers Giants. I guess we'll tip our hat to San Francisco in that regard. LA is still to me a much better city, but
we're not going to have that fight today, Ed. We're not having it. Yeah. I love LA, but you know I'm from the Bay, so you can't just like diss like that. Anyway.
You know, you got me waking up, and now I got to admit that San Francisco is ahead of LA in something. No,
sorry.
No way. but I mean, you look at her role and her politics. I would say, much like anyone that's been in politics as long as she had been, I think her trailblazing side of being progressive early, as this country has changed.
Would you call her progressive? To me, she's a centrist. I mean, and maybe that's because I'm from San Francisco, and in San Francisco, people always thought of her as conservative because she was a landlord and she tended to take pro-landlord, non-pro-tenant positions, and was very, moderate in the context of San Francisco. And I was just looking it up. 1978, they elected her mayor, their first woman mayor. We did ours in 2023. I mean, it's not just a little ahead.
Agreed, and you're laying out some of the local side of it. I was actually thinking more on sort of the nationals from the Senate side, which I'm probably more familiar with. But when you view her in sort of what she meant nationally.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
I think in much the same way that we at one point we were talking about sort of how the land had shifted under Hillary Clinton. In her run. I think the politics of today had shifted from Diane. The length of time that she had stayed in office, you started to see some differences between her and the party, and they were, it happens in the generation.
Right, the lines move. You stay where you were, but the lines of demarcation or the standards of what's left, right, and center change. The Democratic Party has definitely shifted to the left. Thanks to the progressive, many of them young, but some of them old, like Bernie, the progressive wing of the party, has moved the needle. And that's, I think, a great point about how she was viewed in Congress back when she started versus now.
Yeah, agreed. Look, this is one of those moments that are going to be challenging on so many levels. I think people have to, obviously in paying tribute to the senator, you go back through her record and you look at some of the things that she really stood for and some of the legislation that she shepherded. You will have to take time and do that. It sets the tone now for some wildly interesting politics on the national side. You've obviously got to fill her seat. For Governor Newsom, that there's a whole,
it's fraught. I mean, I'm already mad at him for saying he's going to appoint a placeholder, not someone that seriously, could be the senator, because he says he doesn't want to meddle. And I understand the theory of that, but you already promised to appoint a black woman. And you didn't say I'm going to appoint a black woman as a placeholder.
Yeah, I hear you, and I hear you, and I hear that sentiment.
You're so sensible, Ed. But I just, the thing about it is that's not keeping your promise. That's keeping your promise by the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the promise.
I tend to agree, but so let's play that out. Let's take this very particular issue and play that out. Who do you think who should be appointed?
Barbara Lee.
And
there's no long thinking process. Barbara Lee, she's running for senator. She's qualified for the job. Yeah, okay.
But let me play that out for Barbara on the negative side. If she's appointed, and I haven't seen the most recent polls, but the polls that I recall, she was not the leading front runner.
No, she's not doing well, actually.
And so that makes it honestly difficult to govern from her perspective, and that's almost not fair to her.
She wants it. She's mad at the governor for not appointing her. I mean, of course she wants it. It would give her the advantage of incumbency. Yeah. I'm not saying you don't have a point, because how are you going to focus 100% on your job if you're campaigning? But what I'm telling you is that is what he promised to do. And he didn't say, if it's not too close to an election. He said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, in the end game, there's something to be paid back in this broken promise, right? And I think ultimately that's what I was getting at, is that I think we can look and see why he wouldn't, right? There were reasons why, and the truth be told, he made, if it's not Barbara Lee, then it is a placeholder. I mean, he could call you tomorrow, Dominique, and ask.
That ain't gonna happen.
but I mean, like anybody that we know that would be appointed as a sort of a placeholder would be sort of a slap in the face to that promise. And I don't know that. I know the community wouldn't accept it, and I don't know that he would even do it that way.
I mean, he's between a rock and a hard place for sure, because he made a promise, and now, he's going to be held accountable, and he's already said he won't appoint Barbara Lee. He's already said he'll appoint someone who is not going to run. So, that's not a good look for him, and we'll see how it plays out. We got Carl on the phone calling us from L.A. Good morning, Carl. Carl, you with me? You up? You up, Carl?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, look, I'll take my 40 acres and a John Deere tractor with all the accessories on it and cash compensation. Hey, look, Hillary Clinton, they had a little interview with her talking about Russians might be involved in the next election. So people need to be aware, I guess. And Elon Musk, he likes immigrants. He's talking about he wants them to come and
he
help
is
run
one.
his company.
So I mean,
no
shade.
They got three type of immigrants: economic immigrants that are sponsored by families and go to college here and go back home, and refugees that take all the labor jobs.
Well, I don't think that's really a fair assessment, Carl. I mean, first of all, there's probably about another 10 types that you haven't mentioned. But do you want a job working overnight in a meat packing plant, cleaning up dead chickens? Because that's what a lot of these little kids from Honduras are doing, and maybe you would if they paid, decently, but they're not paying decently.
Yeah, well, maybe if they paid decently, some people would take them. I mean, other
but
people
they don't.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, look, Dominique, they having that problem over there in Ladera Heights over there, near Fox Hill, Inglewood, all up over there with the racists putting SWAT stickers on people's car. Why don't they do like the Panthers said over there and get their own patrol? A lot of them citizens over there, they got them homes over there. They never been to prison. They're eligible to have a shotgun sitting on their front porch.
I mean, all of them got ring cameras against my better advice. So all they need, take a look at that footage. Ed, you got anything to say about what Carl is bringing up? Got a minute here before news, traffic, and sports.
I hate to say it, that's the first I've heard of it. I feel bad about that. Look, with all the technology that we have out, with cameras and whatnot, it seems like we should have some footage of this really, really quick. But we should be able to find and deal with this. If someone is doing that, that sort of harassment and that sort of targeting, we've got to find a way to stop that immediately.
Well, and it's encroachment, because we know that there's a rise in white supremacy, but usually they don't come around here. You got 30 seconds. What about his categorization of 3 types of immigrants?
It's an interesting sort of statement. I would always say, look, the how we talk about immigrants, we just have to realize that everyone to this country is an immigrant, and
except us.
Some measure of respect has to be paid.
Except for black people, we're not. I mean, unless you're from Africa, recently we ain't immigrants. Okay.
Yeah, but even in that, as we look forward, it is. I do think that how you got here, we can talk about, but in the end game, the process of getting here is what makes this country strong. What we bring to this country, and I'll stand up all day and talk about the pluses that we bring to this country, and what we've been able to do here in this country. But from an immigration standpoint, look, I try not to distinguish between peoples as they're coming into the country.
Hold that thought, Ed. We got to get to news, traffic, and sports right here. Then continuing the conversation. You know where you are, KBLA. Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Friday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. UAW President Shawn Faye will make an announcement on Facebook Live this morning on the next steps in the strike against the big three automakers. Last Friday, the strike expanded from 3 plants to an additional 38 GM and Stellantis parts and distribution locations. Today's announcement is scheduled for 10 a.m. That's Eastern Time. Missouri's 2 GOP U.S. senators are among 9 Republicans who have voted not to approve the country's new Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman. Senators Josh Hawley and Eric Schmidt say they were opposed to Air Force General Charles Q. Brown Jr.'s appointment because they believe Brown wants to politicize the military by focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Brown is African American. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are back in the news. Training camp starts on Tuesday, but Lakers coach Darvin Ham said his starting backcourt is already set. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves will be the Lakers starting guards this season. With LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the lineup, the Lakers only have to decide on a starting center. The main contenders are Jared Vanderbilt, Taurean Prince, and free agent signee Christian Wood. LeBron is on the list of celebrities who will be at the USC-Colorado game Saturday in Boulder. Also on the list is Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and actor Matthew McConaughey. USC remains a 21.5-point favorite over Colorado. 9 a.m. kickoff Saturday morning on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard about Lendistry? Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered right here in LA. Once you've started your business, Lendistry provides flexible financing options starting at $50,000 to help you access the affordable capital needed to grow. Whether financing is needed to increase working capital, acquire a business, purchase inventory and equipment, or refinance debt, Lendistry has a solution for you. Lending products range from traditional business term loans and non-revolving lines of credit to SBA 7A loans and commercial real estate financing. Lendistry's pre-application process is simple and does not impact your credit score. Visit lendistry.com/KBLA to learn more and to get started with an application right from the website.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
Applications are now being accepted for the City of Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Program. The program provides up to 6 months of rental arrears to low-income residential renters who are at risk of homelessness due to unpaid rent as a result of COVID-19 or other financial hardship. Applications will not be accepted after 6 p.m. on October 2nd, 2023. Go online 24/7 at housing.lacity.org or call 888-379-3150 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and see if you qualify. Apply today.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Ed, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're making a point about immigration, and Carl broke it down in terms of sponsored people, Elon Musk types, which would be the billionaires, and then the refugees we said were taking up all the jobs. It's interesting because when you come as a refugee, you're actually coming legally. That is how even though it's chaotic, that's what the policy says to do. Sneak up here and then turn yourself in at the border and try to get refugee status. And then there's people that actually just sneak across the border, and that's a totally different. Those are the undocumented folks. I would argue those are probably folks that are taking, if you want to talk about taking jobs, those are probably more, because if you're a legal refugee here, you're not allowed to work for the first, I don't know, at least 90 days, probably longer than that by the time you get a permit. That's something Joe Biden just waived for 500,000 Venezuelans. Yeah. And, there's a lot of implications there. Go ahead.
And the other side of that is I mean, and before the break, I was talking about people once they have immigrated, right, and how I prefer to view them once you're in the country. To your point about, this decision on who comes in, I always start and look at the people of Haiti and how we treat, people in Haiti in terms of their ability to immigrate into the country. And you can color that through a lens of race. And to Carl's point, you start looking around the world and you see groups that are allowed to come in or that we sponsor to come in. And then, you look across the border where people are in distress and will make it to the shoreline and we send them right back. That sort of wall we do need to address, right? And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think my point was more, once someone is in the United States, I try not to see a distinction of how they got here. I try to see them as, as a countryman and making a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it's certainly a hot topic right about now. And he veered us over there because phone lines are open. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I wanted to ask you, though, Ed, if Dianne Feinstein now has passed away, so there's an empty seat in the Senate until the governor makes a move, which I imagine means he's got to move quickly, right? Because the Democratic majority in the Senate is very thin, and on top of that, you have Bob Menendez. Does that situation with the senator from New Jersey and his corruption problems, even though he's saying he won't step down, do those things change the picture in the Senate for dealing with, the loss of Senator Feinstein?
They don't change the picture, and let's just play it out. We look back and we talk about what's his name, Mitch McConnell, for the way he delayed the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. Right, we're going to see the Democratic Party really not move to have Senator Menendez step down until the seat is filled, until Feinstein's seat is filled. The number breakdown of senators, I think there are 49 Republicans in the Senate. With the one vacancy, there are 47, I think, Democrats and 3 independents. And so to your point, it's a razor-thin majority. I don't think that Schumer and team are going to move as quick on Menendez, although they need to.
Yeah, they really should.
To step down immediately. The implications really are in sort of the presidential politics coming up, right? Not just for president, but how the country views the party. I think one would hope that they could drive Menendez to retire. You can't have a corrupt senator in office in your party. The second piece of this is you can't lose control of the Senate, right? We're talking about a government shutdown that could take place in a matter of hours here. And you do need to have control of the United States Senate as we go through the next couple weeks here. And then finally, the age conversation. Man, the age conversation jumps up on President Biden.
Yeah, I'm sure Biden is not happy that Senator Feinstein, aside from personal loss, it's a problem for him, right?
Yeah, agreed. And so, people are going to have to sort through that. But ultimately, I think you take these things in steps, right? I think Governor Newsom will move quickly to make an appointment. It'll be interesting to see what he does. And they'll restore that vote back in the Senate and then deal with Menendez as soon as they can.
Okay, so I looked that up since you said that. I thought I forgot how many independents caucus with Democrats. There's 49 Republicans and 47 Democrats. 3 independents who caucus, 2 caucus with the Dems and the other one, which is Angus King, Bernie Sanders, and Kristen Sinema. Right,
Sinema.
Right.
Yeah, the Republicans are going to spend a ton of money, making it rough for her right now in Arizona. I don't think she's on the ballot next year, but you could understand why they would target her in this regard.
Right, and then there's 1 vacant seat. So it's really going to be a chess game, and I think you're right about the age conversation because, I want to say this with all due respect, but setting a standard where we stay in office until we die doesn't seem. It's more like the royal model, which is not the American model, right? You're king until you pass away, or queen until you pass away, and then we get the next king or queen. And I even though I don't believe in ageism, and I think it has to be more based on your fitness to serve whatever that position is, whether it's carpenter or president, it certainly seems problematic from the optics.
Yeah, I think it's problematic. It's problematic. We can look back in the recent sort of hit for me is on the Supreme Court, right? And you watch Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and particularly for those of us that follow the court, you say there were opportunities for her to retire gracefully and allow that seat to be filled or and appointed.
Right. With someone young and liberal.
She passed, and a Republican president was able to nominate a nutcase to the court. In that case, ageism plays a role, and to your point about sort of the hubris of wanting to stay in office. But that can also work in reverse, right? There can be situations where you need somebody to stay alive and in office so that you can hopefully change the politics of that appointment, right? And so it can work in reverse. I think in general for, an elected official that stands before the people, if you are struggling to do your job and, the people around you know that you are struggling to do your job, that conversation has to be had. And at a certain point, without being disrespectful to someone, it's got to get called on the mat. I mean, I just cannot imagine, being in Feinstein's family, listening to the buzz and the conversation about, how incapable of being a United States senator she was at the end, right?
Well, yeah, but if you think about Feinstein, I mean, her husband passed, and the other 2 people, she has a daughter, but then she had 2 stepdaughters. I don't know. She didn't have anyone, like elders or peers that were close in family that would say, hey.
Well, let's just take longtime staff, people that have worked for her for quite some time, what does that mean within the building?
Is that a staffer's job? I mean, is that a staffer's place to say, hey, you know what, you're losing a step here, and And then you wonder if the person is actually suffering from dementia or cognitive decline, as Senator Feinstein was rumored to be. Will they, how will they receive that? Family can say, you know what, you're not well. We're going to make this decision for you, or we're going to push the envelope here and get you out of there. But I don't know if a staffer can do that, can they?
I don't. I honestly, it kind of comes back to sort of the body that they're in, right? I don't imagine that a senator, like staff, would do it, but the Senate itself, or
peers,
we're using Senator Feinstein as an example, but
Mitch McConnell may be having the same kinds of conversations. Somebody should be. Right. You can't just be freezing in the middle of conversation. I don't know. Maybe it's some small tick, but it seems to me at an advanced stage, which you're having what appear to be mini strokes during press conferences, there's a conversation to be had. And I'm pretty sure that if I was freezing for long periods of time on the air, somebody would pull me to the side and say, maybe you need to get time to be a producer or get behind the scenes. And I'm sure that these are conversations that Mitch McConnell, Joe Biden, even Trump, though he's been mostly shielded inexplicably from the, elder in office conversation. I'm sure they're not conversations they're eager to have. We've got more folks that want to talk to us, Ed. We'll get to that. And we have a lot to talk about as usual when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead Community Development and National Partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of Black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to Black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership. It's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community. And it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. So glad Ed Sanders is with me. Find him at Edward M. Sanders on X, formerly Twitter. You can find me there too, DiPrima Radio, DiPrima Radio. And then, of course, KBLA 1580 on all of the platforms. There was a viral video of a woman, a grown woman, brutally attacking and just beating the crap out of this 13-year-old African-American girl. And if as a parent, it's one of those things you see and it just makes your blood boil. She was only 13. This was in Harbor City in a McDonald's. Families called for an apology from McDonald's. They said it was not a fight, it was a beating. And that's absolutely what the videotape shows. This took place on September 6th. Well, now an arrest has been made in that case. A woman's name, Ariana Luifi, from Harbor City. They booked her for felony child abuse, and the DA now considering that. I know you're a super engaged and protective dad. This must have hit you some kind of way, Ed.
It does, and it is. I'm glad they made the arrest here because it it sets a precedent, because as disturbing as this video is, I mean, we've seen, 50 dozen videos of law enforcement officers and school police treating adolescent teens, particularly African-American female teens, in the same way, right? Like, I can think through maybe 4 or 5 videos off the top of my head where I've seen a law enforcement official slamming a black teen, and you think about it and you say, well, there's no way and there's no reason an adult should attack, particularly a female teen who does not have the size of an attacker that way. Now, in this very particular case, this has nothing to do with law enforcement. That person, for whatever reason, is going to stand, charges, and those charges are right. That is abuse of a child. My point being that when we've seen those videos against law enforcement, we need to view it in that light as well, where it is abuse against a child.
Yeah, and she's only 13. She's a baby. She's traumatized. I'm sure she doesn't want to go anywhere. And the thing that really ticked me off is that those people that worked in that McDonald's just stood around there and did nada. You know what I mean? I know you're not security guards, but you're going to let people beat up a kid right in front of you? I don't know how anybody does that. Finally, someone intervenes after the girl has been beaten to a pulp. I just don't get that. Someone's filming it, but no one's stopping it.
Yeah, I mean, but, Dominique, we are in that day and age. I can understand why, folks might feel that way towards McDonald's, but I also can understand why people don't interject in fights, right? Like, we've seen bystanders killed, stabbed, all that sort of stuff. It's not my makeup, right? Like, if I saw that, I would step in myself, but
I mean, two grown folks, I understand what you're saying, but a little kid being beaten up by a grown-ass, thick woman, I don't know. Mama Bear says, grab the nearest, large item and hit the woman over the head. Of course, I might be in court for doing so, but to me, that's just, what happened to the Good Samaritans? And I hate to say it, but you wonder, if that's less likely to happen because it was a young black girl, a baby who's being adultified and, and undervalued in that scenario. Oh, man, time flies on the radio, Ed. When we come forward, I'm passing the mic to you. You can pull a rabbit out of your hat or I always have 20 questions. The Ed Sanders Surprise is up next on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that for Bree's car. Just right, just right, just right, yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Bree's car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy for Breeze. La 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 la.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Ed Sanders, so many things going on in our city and our coast. And you can tell it's election season, boy. The things are ramping up, aren't they? Ed Sanders, what do you want to leave us with this morning?
Obviously we're going to spend the day talking about, the impact of Senator Feinstein and on California and on the national. But I'm going to leave with a little bit of levity. USC takes on Colorado tomorrow morning, and you get two of the top quarterbacks in the country, in Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders, and USC taking on Deion Sanders as Coach Prime. That's going to be must-see TV. I hear the stars are already lining up the jets to fly into Boulder, Colorado for the game. I can't wait to see it.
Wow. So what time is that? Oh, darn it. I got to work tomorrow.
They moved it early, so it's a 9 a.m. start for us on the West Coast.
Oh, cool. So I can see it before I go to work. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's not tailgating, it's coffee.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, there's always Baileys in coffee.
There you go. That's a good way to start a Saturday.
Honestly, Ed, do you think that Deion Sanders is getting disrespected by other coaches and people in sports, or is it just normal trash talk, normal, competition?
No, it's not normal, but he is not a normal coaching personality. It is one of these things where if you look at his record on sort of the D1 level, he has not won a championship, right? But you would put him up there as some of the most popular. He already has commercials with Saban. On sort of the Aflac. He is a larger-than-life football personality, and so that attracts supporters and it attracts detractors.
He talks his fair share of trash, that's for sure. But
really, Deion. I think Deion has this image of the bravado, but Deion is a straightforward coach, right? I think I admire what he's doing on social media. You can see clippets of him coaching constantly, right? He's got an amazing
I can't wait to see you coach, Ed. He said what did he say? Well, yeah, I got you. But so that's what always begs the question: are they punishing him for being a so-called uppity black man, or is it just all in a day's, all in a day's competition?
The punishment is only from detractors. In the end game, he's making a lot of money as a coach. He's doing a lot of good for the players.
True.
The community that he's coaching in is now vibrant. Colorado games are an amazing scene compared to what they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Negative detractors, it's just negative talk out there. The positives are actual positives.
Yeah, that's true. The haters are elevators, as they say, and they certainly don't have any control over the dollars coming into your bank account. I know where to find you tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We'll be watching football, and it's that we always try to talk a little bit about sports, right? And the role that sports has for us as a community. Tonight high school football is taking off across the land, college, and then to the earlier story, the NBA's season kicks off this next Tuesday with training camps opening up, and you had big news in the NBA last night or a day ago with Dame Lillard being traded to Milwaukee. So a lot to talk about on the sports front, at barbershops and nail salons.
And on KBLA. We got so many sports folks around here. I got to do better because I'm ready for more recreation in my life. So I'm going to try to watch that game tomorrow morning. Thank you, Ed, for giving me the heads up and reminding me to do so. And thank you, as always, for kicking off our Friday.
Thanks, Dominic. Thanks for having me on.
Follow him on X, Edward M. Sanders, DiPrima Radio, KBLA 1580. Time for you to call me. It's Friday. Freestyle phones, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA. Talk 1580.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Friday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. UAW President Shawn Fain will make an announcement on Facebook Live this morning on the next steps, and Eric Schmidt say they will